Alright, today I've got one interesting autograph. I couldn't remember if I showed this one or not from the day before, so Jackie Moore. Jackie Moore and the tiniest pen ever, but whatever. Nice to get Jackie Moore finally. He's got some other difficult cards to find, but he's not prominently featured on them from what I understand. And then I got one of the easiest autograph requests, one of the easiest TTMs there from the Capital District. If I had just only used the Capitol Dome or something like that instead of Monticello, but that's what I had. So I'm going to be heading off to the local stamp show on Sunday. It's only a Sunday show. It's, I think, 10 to 4. And again, some people are super intrigued and other people are like, who cares? So if I do videos on stamp show or whatever, they don't get a crazy amount of views. But the few people that do watch, like, man, how did you find all this massively cool stuff? I'm looking on eBay, it's $. I said, all I do is I don't panic. There's plenty of postage for everybody. There might be a few vendors with some like 50% off postage, but you'd have to kind of look for that. They're not like advertising it. Then you've got the people at the face value stamps, and one of those guys gets bombarded and people sit there for hours digging through bins and they're ripping out pages. Literally, they're tearing apart stamp books to get the mint condition stamps, looking for the most beautiful, perfectly centered 1 cent stamp. And just like the guys in the card groups, they're looking for varieties, errors, variants, all kinds of interesting things. And then there are the people that will sift through billions of stamps there, for hours, only putting out $3 worth. Sometimes I've seen people plunk out hundreds of dollars. That'll be $150, sir, but I can give it to you for $120 or something like that. So they're always willing to work with you if you're, because the last thing you want to do is come back with everything. Then the first thing I do, instead of hitting the postage, unless I see it right away, boom, value box. 25-cent value box. That is the way to go for me. There's, I think, one of them or two of them. He has usually one or two. Then he's got stuff for $1, which sometimes is not as good as the stuff in the value box. It really isn't by that much, if at all. Then there's another guy that has like postcards down to 20 cents, and I dig around and usually found $2 to $5 worth of that stuff. So, from the Capital District, this has been sent out twice. And that is really, really cool to get this one here. I have never heard of this card, never heard of any of these people, but I recently picked this card up and got both of these people to sign it. Unfortunately, it's a little, it's centered well, but the problem is that the image is tilted on the card. Not as much as this logo back here, not by a long shot. But the first one I sent out, I believe, was to to Jim Weaver. I think he's the first one I got to sign this here. There's Jim Weaver on the 1968 Angels rookie stars, and then I got Chuck Vinson. How many cards are there left like this of people that will sign both sides of the card, for $0? And this came back very quick. Jim Weaver sent it back as fast as I sent it to him, and Chuck Vinson. These guys know that if you're sending to them, they're going to be sending this particular card. And it might be the only one that these guys are featured on. But Chuck Vinson, the unfortunate thing is it doesn't tell you when they were born on these. It just says Chuck Vinson, first base. Chuck has a good power potential. Last year he clouded 16 home runs and drove in 67 runs for Seattle in the PCL. He has been in the minors since 1963, so he's, a career minor leaguer. After winning 12 out of 19 games out of Oklahoma City, Jim got his first big league chance in 67. The Southpaw on a 3-0 record for the Angels last September. Jim has been hurling pro ball since 1958. Wow. He got his first big league chance in 67, and he's been playing in some sort of organized baseball since 58. Gee, yeah, these guys are kind of, taking their sweet time there. I know a lot of people just are like that. It's not like, you just step on the field, hit a couple home runs, and get called up to, major league level. Again, regardless of how good these people may have been, it just takes one or two early games for them to do really well or go back and do into nothing. But they nicely signed this way here. Very, very cool to have that one. One of the very few cards that I own, because either it's like, I don't want to just get half of it signed, and I don't want to, pay dollars to get the other half signed, so one person might be 0, the other one might be 5 or 10, So this is a great opportunity for anybody. I was just thinking of a fine card collector who is just getting into autograph collecting here. Jeff, this would be a great one for him to take a look and see, because again, these guys were $0, and I wished I could figure out when these guys were born. I want to say probably if I do my homework there, probably somewhere in the early 40s, early to mid 40s would be my guess. As when, maybe before that even, because if these guys have been involved for that long, I just don't really know my math here. So, but that is a very, very neat one there. And like I said, I have a stamp show on the weekend. And, you know, just like, but everybody has been going through different things and stuff going on or whatever. You know, spring break, time of reflection, sun is coming out. The weather in some places is just absolutely, you know, way ahead of schedule. I mean, it was a basically 50 plus 60 degree day today, which is normal for here. It is warm in here right now, though. But the last few days have been 70 plus, you know, and that's not normal for, I mean, it is sort of normal, but it's not always normal for this time of year. Sometimes we're just really cold right now and having to still heat wood with fires and things like that back in the old days. And so, been able to get out and do a lot of outdoor work here. I have been cutting back big time on my trips outside of town, you know, just doing local stuff there, the post office or the UPS drop-off spot, or I just took a little quick drive to get a drink in some kind of plastic containers at the Dollar General down the road and throw in an autograph request. Because it's Saturday, I don't know when the mail's going to get here, so I don't want to throw my letter in the box for half the day, you know, so I just said I'll just drop that off and have a little quick sody-dody, whatever you want to call it. Again, it just, that's all that's, you know. So what else is going on here? Oh, this is kind of fun. This is nothing special here, but I found this in the yard. This piece of wood, this hard piece of wood. I don't know if it's rhododendron. It's got a little split there, so I'll probably throw some glue in there. But it's all, you know, sawed flat on the end there. Sawed here, so I just put a saw cut in the middle of it. And if I needed, though, now I've got an extra stand there, extra card stand there. So that's pretty handy there. A free piece of wood, I was just going to throw that away, you know, raking the leaves, and found this piece of hardwood there. It's like, well, shoot, and there we go. It wasn't rotten or anything. I don't know how long it's been sitting there. Very solid. You can hear it rattling a little bit there, so I'll throw some glue on that. But that's all good to go. I'll take free anytime for that one. A little fun little deal there. We'll just use that checklist and stand it up somewhere right there. And then I know I'm forgetting something. So COMC has told me that they're shooting for tomorrow. So if I don't get this video uploaded, maybe it's because I've got this, I don't know, we'll get COMC one of these days here. But it's a fantastic, I mean, every COMC that I've ever done has always had one or two cards that you have never seen in your entire lifetime or haven't thought to. That's why, again, I scour the COMC listings because I want to see if those cards are physically on eBay, and many times they are not. That's the only reason I hang around with those jokers right now, because they have the cards that I want that aren't available anywhere else. The COMC was the reason why I would still do cards. Now I'm finding much better YouTube sellers. Oh, much better. Volume sellers that, you know, get the, you know, some, you know, not all of them, but many of them get my cards to me within a couple of weeks. And I was like, oh, great, that's awesome. You know, barring other kinds of shipping delays or whatever that's going on here. But very, very happy. You know, I'm not getting the selection or anything, and it's all mostly ultra modern and a few vintage sprinkled in there. I got to figure out my eBay password situation because I just tried to use it yesterday. It said, sorry, it doesn't match what we have. Goodbye. Pretty much, you know, so it's just either create a new password or just put in the right one. I was like, well, I haven't had, it's one of those automated things. You don't deal with it for a long time, but you use it enough to where it's not like an abandoned password, so I have to figure out what they did wrong. It's never fun, but, you know, whatever. It's not a big deal because I'm not buying anything. I just got kind of a think about it, you know, order in the works. There was one other thing, I forgot what it was, but I will do my COMC video as soon as possible because I want to get those stored away. But again, these are things you will never find, and then if it's like 50 cents on COMC plus whatever shipping or blah, 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 then you'll find somebody in Spain that might have that for $15 or $20. It's like, oh, geez, I should have bought it on COMC for 50 cents and then waited 4 months for it to get here. Maybe it was not exactly 4 months, but it seems like it. So frustrating for them to do that to us collectors. That's rude. That's very, very rude. So I don't know. Like I said, I will do also hopefully a video. I do not photograph in the stamp show, not because these guys are not photogenic, but it's not the kind of venue that you really need to take a lot of video at. You might take a couple pictures of the value boxes or whatever, and that is it. So just a quick video today, but if you ever have any inklings to get this card, you can find it usually for around $1 or $2, including the shipping. Chuck Vincent Jim Weaver. I think I bought that from a guy that just clears it out, and then send it to either Chuck or Jim, either way. But I wouldn't delay on this card. Somebody might have shown this card recently in one of their videos, showing the airbrushed cap. But I think that I saw, I can't remember who did that video. They were doing a video on 68 cards and then showing the airbrushing or the variations or whatever. So very cool to have that one there. But yeah, you can see it seesaws off to the side there. So on the front it's not very visible here, but on the back, wow, that's really off. You know, so some people will just not like that huge border there. Very nothing right there, but very neat to have that one, and thank you for watching.